Paul Henderson from ZeroToHeroMarketing.com. I'm super excited to be here with you today, and I'm joined by a very special guest. This young man is probably best known as the marketer who took his last $250 and built a seven-figure internet business from it, spanning over 4 niches. This year, his business is pulling in around $100,000 every single month. I first discovered this guy late in 2012 while I was frantically searching around for someone to coach me personally. And I had the chance to listen to his now famous webinar in which he reveals his ultra-simple formula for building a list. Today, he's a world-renowned expert in internet marketing and information publishing and has generated over $1.2 million online. Please welcome from markmilburn.com, Mr. Mark Milburn.
Hello, Paul. Fabulous to be here. So thank you for inviting me along to have this call with you today. Hopefully we can share some golden nuggets with the people listening.
Well, I'm really pleased that you found the time, Mark, and it's very kind of you, so I don't mind saying that in public. Look, there's a lot to get through, so are you happy if we get straight onto the questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Look, I've got a variety of questions which I think are going to prove both enlightening and entertaining for our listeners. So I'll start straight off with question number 1, which is, why does an internet marketer need a list?
Okay. Well, one of the things that I sort of regret most, and I try and avoid saying, the word regret because there's nothing, you shouldn't regret anything in life. But one of the things I do sincerely regret about my internet marketing journey, I guess, is that when I first started out, I didn't bother building a list. I'd kind of heard of it and I knew what it was and I knew what the concept was, but I never actually bothered trying to build a list for myself. I thought, no, I don't need to do that. I'll just make my own products and then drive traffic to them and then all those kind of things. And it actually took really 3 or 4 years before I even vaguely saw the value in having a list. I actually wasted, if anyone doesn't know my story, I really did waste 3 or 4 years online trying to get started. I made a product and put it on ClickBank and tried to generate some sales of it. And I really wasted 3 or 4 years then trying to make that work without building that list. And it wasn't until I took on a mentor and joined a coaching program in the end of the summer of 2009 that it really hammered it home how much I needed to get myself a list. And now I realise that all of the different reasons and benefits for having a list. Now, the first thing I'm going to point out is this. I don't think you'll find a successful internet marketer anywhere in the world who doesn't have a mailing list. And I think that's a really key thing. So if anybody listening to this interview is thinking, oh, I don't really need a list, or why do I need a list? The first thing is there isn't a successful guru marketer in the world that doesn't have one. And more to the point, the majority of those successful marketers will make a substantial percentage of their income from their list. And there's a few reasons for it. You've probably noticed the internet over the last year has gone into this kind of push button profits frenzy. Everybody wants to know how they can make, the magic button profits, how they can very, very quickly just pop something out into the world and suddenly make a ton of cash very, very quickly. And that's resulted in a lot of kind of very scammy products that are launching where they promise you the world and actually deliver nothing. They promise you that for $37 you can have some magic piece of software where you just hit a button and then hundreds of thousands of dollars fly in every month. And the truth is that doesn't exist, and I think people forget that. But the closest thing to it, the closest real method of making money to that is to have a list. I mean, if you can have an asset in your business which allows you to, with just 5 or 10 minutes worth of work, i.e. sending an email, generate huge sums of money in a very short space of time, then that's the real power. So why does an internet marketer need a list? Well, because it's the quickest way to generate kind of what I would call push button profits on an ongoing infinite basis. Every single day of every single week of every single year, you can go ahead, you can spend, how long does it take to write an email to your best friend? Probably, 5 or 10 minutes. So maximum, let's say, if you put all of your thought and effort into it, let's say it takes half an hour to send an email, a marketing email to send out to your list. then obviously you spend half an hour every day sending out an email, and that in itself can generate thousands and thousands of dollars on the internet. In fact, there are people out there who just built a list. They've built, they've set up an autoresponder account. They've started building a list. They've built an enormous and responsive and very profitable list, and they've built 6- and even 7-figure businesses just from having an email list alone. No products of their own, no complicated customer support to handle, no affiliates. They've literally just built a list, and then they do email marketing to that list. So really, not only does it give you the ability to generate push-button profits, but it also gives you the ability to generate probably the one thing more important than that, which is push-button traffic. There's probably a lot of marketers or even newbies listening to this recording right now thinking, yeah, but traffic's really difficult. I don't know how to get traffic to my websites. Well, if you've got a list, that takes a huge chunk of the work out of getting traffic, because again, you just send an email and the traffic will then flow from that list. I mean, it's really, really, the benefits of having a list are so clear to me now, and I genuinely kick myself for not building one in the first place. I think it's the first thing that really anyone should do when they get started. So, those are the kind of the main reasons why, in my opinion, every internet marketer should have a list. The fact that it's, push button traffic, which leads to push button profits, and of course it builds your authority in the marketplace as well. If you're somebody that these people feel they can follow and listen to and gain advice and help from, then obviously that gives you a real amount of credibility and authority and positioning within your marketplace as well.
Wow, that's a very full answer, Mark, and also very enlightening. There's an awful lot to bear in mind I'm getting from that. Now, what I was going to ask you next, you've already actually partially answered, but I'm going to ask anyway so that
Sure.
people can get a second chance to listen to this ultra important information. My second question is going to be, what does it mean when people say, it's an expression that we've all heard many times, what does it mean when people say the money is in the list?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the things I was thinking of when I said that last answer, is that, that phrase, the money is in the list. That was what I kind of ignored for a long period of time, for those 3 or 4 years. But the truth is, when people say the money is in the list, for the amount of time, effort, and money invested to build a list, it is probably the most dollar for dollar and second for second most profitable thing that you can do in your business. If you were to think about all of the different ways of making money online, if you were to think about making a product and then putting it up for sale, well, you've got to make the product, you've got to research the product, you've got to choose a niche market, you've got to have a sales letter written or learn to write copy yourself, then you've got to have the graphics done, then you've got to get JVs on board, and then you have to pay them 50% of every sale or more of every sale that they generate. Then you have to keep driving traffic to that sales page. That's a lot of work. If you want to do blogging, you've got to install the blog, set up the blog, you've got to post to your blog every week, you've got to get traffic to your blog, you do all this other stuff. So in terms of actual time and money invested, building a list is one of the quickest ways to get to the money. Particularly if you're just starting out online, you could not only get everything set up and running within the next day or few days, but you could also be instantly in profit. You can build your list building system into a profitable thing in its own right, so that as soon as people opt in, you can send them to affiliate offers and do all this other kind of stuff. So the money is the fastest route to the money really is by building a list and then consistently emailing your list with affiliate offers, and then with the odd free training just to help to build up the relationship with that list a little bit more. And that's one of the key things. That phrase has changed somewhat kind of over the last few years. The money is now not just in the list, but also in the relationship with that list. So if you can then start building a friendship and building that relationship so that people do look at you as a trusted advisor, then obviously that's a real key thing. That's something that will help you to make that list more and more profitable. So when people say that the money is in the list, or more recently the money is in the relationship with the list, they really mean that if you can build up that following and that those the people who are effectively your fans, and even if they haven't given you any money, they're still your students to a certain extent. They still look up to you because they're opening your emails, they're reading your emails, they're clicking on the links in your emails. I guess they are really looking for somebody to give them some advice, somebody to give them a leg up into the industry. And if you're willing to do that via your list, again, establishing your authority, establishing your credibility, then that's a really key way for you to fast track straight into the money. So I hope that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, look, absolutely it makes sense, Mark. And look, I mean, one of the things that you've highlighted there is it's not just a matter of doing the things, whatever it's needed, and we'll perhaps go into that later, but it's not just a matter of doing the things that you need to do to build your list. You then have to really concentrate on getting a great working relationship with that list. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things, I'm sure we'll talk about it as the interview goes on, but one of the things that has changed since I kind of really became between, I started making money online. I made my first ever few dollars online about 3 years ago. And when that happened, since that time, a lot has changed. And back in the day, list building was a lot more of a numbers game, in my opinion, anyway. I found that list building was a much more of a numbers game. People would build a list, and it was all about having the biggest list. And the bigger your list was, the more money you would make. And now that's really not the case anymore. And one of the reasons for that is that everybody's got a list now. Every man and his dog in the internet marketing world is building a list because they know how important it is. And one of the things a lot of people do is they neglect. They think, I need to have the biggest list in the world, and they neglect the fact that it needs to be a responsive list. If you've got a list of 1 million people, but only 20 of them open your emails and click on your links, you're not going to make a lot of money. But if you've got a list of 5,000 people and you can get dozens or hundreds of them to open your link, then obviously you're going to make more money. So I think a lot of people forget that it's not just about getting every man and his dog on your list so that you've got the biggest list in the world. What's the point in that, which is going to cost you more money in the long run because you have to pay for the subscribers who are on your list, when you could have a smaller but ultimately more responsive and better list, better qualified list, a list that you have built that relationship with. So I think that that really is important. And again, I'm sure it's something that we'll go and talk about throughout this call.
Yeah, gotcha. So smaller and more responsive is better than larger and not quite so responsive. Good point. Okay, now can we ask you, Mark, how did you get started building a list once you'd realized that you really needed to march on with that?
Okay. So again, it was back in 2009, probably in about September of 2009, I started building my first ever list. And one of the things that worried me was I wanted to build a list in the internet marketing niche. But the problem was I didn't have any success or experience that I could use in order to leverage myself. I couldn't say, put your email address in here and I'll show you how I made $1 bajillion online, because I hadn't done it. So I wanted to make a free gift to give away, and I wanted to build my list, and I wanted to make it or frame it around the fact that I had been failing online for several years, and now this was the turnaround in my business. So what I did was I had an idea for a free report, which I call Marketing Meltdown. And the kind of subtitle of the report, if you like, was how to fail at internet marketing and bankrupt yourself, which is basically what I'd almost done over the previous 3 years. So what I did was I then wrote, and it was like a 60-page report or something. I spent a couple of weeks writing it. And I wrote this report about all of the different ways you can fail online. And really, it was like a how-to guide of what not to do when you want to be an internet marketer. But what that meant was the value that added to people's lives was if they did the exact opposite of what I taught in this book, which is what I was then starting to do at that point, then they would become successful. So, for example, the report said things like, don't build a list, don't build a blog, make the worst products in the world. I was it was a blow by blow account of how you could fail at internet marketing. But then if people reversed those techniques, it would be, then they could be successful online. So interestingly, although it was a guide really about how to make money on the internet, I framed it from a failure's perspective. And I felt that gave me not only a unique edge, but it also would, deliver some value. And I think that's one of the key things. If you want to build a list which is responsive, you really need to try and make your free gift stand out as much as you possibly can. You really need to make sure that when people put their name and email address into your squeeze page or they join your list, that you need to make sure that whenever you email them, they will remember your name. They will see your name and they won't go, oh, who's that? Who's that Bob Smith who's emailing me? Why is he? How did it end up on his list? It's important that they remember what they opted in for in the first place, which again we'll talk about shortly. It's important that they immediately remember your name and they associate you with that thing. And the problem is because, and again, I'm sure people listening to this call will know that they are on, probably on many different lists. There are lots of marketers who have ended up on hundreds, if not thousands of different lists. I think it's important for them to realize that the people who join their list, so when people listening to this call start building a list, those subscribers are probably on lots and lots of other lists as well. I don't think there'll be a single subscriber on my list who isn't on, at least another few lists. So I think the key thing is to make sure that you're not just another name landing in their inbox every day. I think it's a key is to remember that you need something unique. So anyway, I digress. The point is I wanted to make a free report that I could give away which would deliver value. It would help people, hopefully make them chuckle. And everybody that I've ever described this to us in this, since has chuckled, so it must have worked. And hopefully it would stand out a little bit as well. So this was a report about how to fail online. But as I said, if you did the opposite to that, then obviously it would help to make you money on the internet. So I released the report and I built a very, very basic list building funnel with it. I found a free squeeze page template on the internet. So in case you're not aware, a squeeze page is just a very simple page where someone puts in their email address or their name and their email address in order to request a free gift of some description. So I managed to find a free squeeze page template on the internet, and I managed to sort of botch it together and customize it and make it fit and then put it on the internet. And then the next thing I did then was to buy something called a solo ad. Now I'll not go into full details on what that is right now because I'm sure we're going to cover that later on, but or different list building methods. But that was what I did. I then started driving traffic to that squeeze page and marketing my free gift because I realized that I'd rather do that and get subscribers on my list than worry about trying to get traffic to other people's affiliate offers and all of the other things that I'd been trying up to that point.
Look, that's a super cool answer, Mark. So basically, as long as you have a good initial idea for your free gift, you can actually do the rest of it quite cheaply. That seems to be what you're saying there. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my favourite example of this kind of unique free gift, just to cover this, and I tell everybody this, was a few years ago. I saw a squeeze page from the American internet marketer Ryan Deiss, who I'm a huge, enormous fan of. And Ryan had a program launching, which I think was called Continuity Blueprint. It's not available anymore, but I think it was called something like that. And basically, he had a free gift at the front end of this. So you would opt in, you would get a free gift, and then he would sell you something further down the line. And the free gift that he gave away was what he called his $1 million napkin. And basically, it was a napkin which had a drawing on it of a kind of a flow chart. So the story was, I was sat in a restaurant. This is what he says. I was sat in a restaurant with my friend, and he asked me to tell him how I make money online. So I drew out my entire $1 million business, my entire $1 million sales funnel on this napkin. And now I brought it home and now I want to give it to you. So on the squeeze page was this headline that said something like, on this napkin I've drawn my $1 million business. Then there was a little bit of copy about the story behind the napkin, and then there was a photograph of him in a restaurant holding the napkin, and you could see a squiggle on it, you could see the funnel, but you couldn't make any of it out. And he said, put your name and email address in there and I'll send you a copy of this napkin and show you how it works. So you'd put your name and email address in and hit the button, and it would take you to a page with a video and a PDF. So you would download the PDF, and the PDF was just a photograph of the napkin, and then the video was a picture of the napkin, and he would walk you through the funnel and say, so this happens, and this is what you do, and then this makes this much, and then this is what happens. And he would explain how this one drawing on this napkin was a $1 million business model. Now, effectively, all he was actually giving you, and this is what I analysed, what he was actually giving you was a free training video. But free training video, which reveals my $1 million business, isn't as catchy, quirky, or unique as $1 million napkin. So I think people will, as soon as they've opted in for that, will remember this is the guy that gave me the $1 million napkin. The $1 million napkin. I mean, I loved it from the moment I realised exactly. I mean, initially I just fell for it. I just thought this is cool and opted in. And it wasn't until a few months later when I got to thinking about it and I realised actually there's a lot more going on there. The clever part of that isn't the fact that he's teaching you to build $1 million business. The cleverest part of that entire thing, if you look at what he's doing, is he's setting himself apart from everybody else with a really unique giveaway that somebody will remember. A few years later, Frank Kern had a similar thing. He gave away a free report, but rather than being any old free report, it was handwritten. So he'd taken some lined A4 paper and he'd written the report by hand in marker pen and then scanned in all of the pages, 20, 30, I can't remember, however many pages there were, and then saved that as a PDF. So when you put your name and email address in, what you were downloading was a handwritten report. And again, it's something that would stand out because it's not something you see every day. The truth is that most of the people on the internet are opting in for free things all the time and joining lists all the time. So there are constantly, people are being bombarded with free reports, free videos, free software, free plugins. But if you can come up with something, even if it's one of those things, but just framed differently, you can really make that free gift stand out. And that was kind of what I tried to do back in 2009 with my first ever free gift. As I said, I wrote a report about how to fail online. Effectively, just a free report, but I wanted to frame it differently. But if you can really come up with something slightly different, for example, the $1 million napkin type idea. Now, obviously, you can't steal that idea because everyone will know you've just stolen it from Ryan Dice. But if you can use that as inspiration to come up with your own unique thing, then I think that will really help you to set yourself apart from everybody else who's building a list out there.
Look, absolutely agreed there, Mark. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but we're not going to steal other people's ideas either, but we can use their ideas for inspiration for our own ideas, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay. Now, we're kind of covering some of the questions that I've got in the answers that you've given, but that's okay. Look, we'll stick on track. Now, my next question is then, would you say that list building is critical to success? And if so, why?
I do. I think it's absolutely critical to success. And again, I'm going to give you my reasoning for that now. But the key thing to remember from my first answer, of course, is that there isn't a successful internet marketer anywhere in the world that doesn't have a list. And I think that's a huge thing to remember. But why? Well, here's the thing. For example, if you were to decide not to build a list and you would decide you're going to go out and do something else instead, maybe you're going to go out and you're going to do affiliate marketing. Well, basically, obviously, the way affiliate marketing works is you promote other people's products for a commission. So if you don't build a list and you can't therefore promote their products to your list, you have to go out and do the kind of what I would call older-fashioned traffic techniques, things like article marketing, blogging, forum posts. Now, yes, they do still work, and I still teach them. I still think they're worthwhile traffic techniques, but they are very time-consuming, they are very work-intensive, and they require lots of ongoing effort every single day to make them work. So you need to then find new ways of driving traffic to affiliate offers, and list building is just much easier. Now, if you were to decide not to go down the affiliate marketing route, maybe you were going to go down the route of making your own products. Well, here's the problem. If you make a product and you put it on a sales page and you begin selling the product, that's fine. And obviously, you then start driving traffic to that, and there will be some people who will buy your product. Maybe, 4% of people land on your sales page and buy your product. Well, the problem is that you're losing 96% of the people that don't buy your product, and you will never see them again. If you were to start building a list off the back of your paid product, so when somebody leaves your page, you could offer them a free gift, then you're then going to potentially pick up potentially 40 or 50% of those 96% of people who left and get them as free subscribers on your list. So that's absolutely worth doing. You can then resell them back into your own products. Now, at the same time, if you were just to decide, right, I'm still not going to do this list building thing, I'm just going to release a new product every month for the next 10 years, and then I'm going to keep getting traffic to them all, and I'm going to keep generating sales. Now, it sounded to me in the early days like a feasible plan. I'm just going to launch new products, several times a year, forever, and keep driving traffic to them all. Now, the problem is, there's a couple of things that will happen. One, if you ever decide that you don't want to make products anymore. Well, basically, this is a very ongoing process. You have to keep making products, because at a certain point, you're going to have made a product, and you will have used up all of the comfortably available traffic to that product, and then you'll have to make a new product. And then once you've used up all of the comfortably available traffic to that product, you'll have to make a new one, because you need something new to sell people. Whereas if you're building a list, If you were to decide in, say, 3 years' time, a year's time, 10 years' time, that you were never going to make a new product or a new coaching program ever again, it wouldn't matter if you'd built that list, because you could still just head out there and start email marketing and promoting other people's products effortlessly. I mean, sending an email, you're talking half an hour's effort a day or every other day to go ahead and do that. So yeah, I think it's absolutely critical to success. I think that if you don't build a list, then you're putting too much pressure on variables that you can't comfortably control. So, for example, there are reasons beyond your control that you might not, one day be able to, keep making products, keep launching products. If if you had lots of products and all of your affiliates one day decide they're going to stop promoting you, or if that special Google traffic loophole you've been working on dries up or closes, then you are going to be stuck without any traffic to your website. You're going to be, I'm simplifying it here, but hopefully you get the point. If you have a list, that is an asset that you control and you are in charge of, and you can use however you want to do whatever you want. So I think, yeah, it's completely critical to success.
Look, I think you made the point very well there, Mark. So by doing this, we maintain a record of everybody that visits our site, or at least the people that subscribe. And of course, since they've then been placed on our list, we can then try to market to them again and again, anytime into the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look, no, that's a terrific idea, isn't it? Now, a question that certainly I've been asked before now, and which I initially wasn't sure of the answer to: do people have different lists? Do you have different lists, Mark? And if so, why would we do that?
Okay, so there's a couple of different kind of elements to look at here, I suppose. So the first thing is, yes, I've got lots of different lists for different reasons, and I'll explain kind of what lists I have and why. The first thing is, over the years, I have made a number of free gifts to give away to build my list. And the reason is that not all internet marketers, or not all people on the internet, are interested in the same topics. So, for example, in my internet marketing list or lists, I have a free gift I give away which is about affiliate marketing. So that means that people who land on that page will put their email address in if they are interested in affiliate marketing. But if that doesn't grab their attention, then they probably won't put their email address in. It stands to reason. If you land on a page and it's not something you're interested in, you probably won't put your email address in. Now, at the same time, I also have a free gift about traffic. So if somebody lands on the Squeeze page and they think, traffic, that's exactly what I need. I'm struggling with traffic, and this page offers them free training on how to, drive traffic to their websites. They are very likely to put their name and email address in there. So within the internet marketing niche, I have a number of different lists, all based on free gifts that I give away on different topics, different themes, different ideas. So those are to appeal to the different interests and the different needs that people have within the internet marketing space. That's the first thing. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I also have a list of all of my customers from different products. So if somebody was to purchase, I have a product called the Fast Profits Formula. If somebody was to purchase that product, they would end up on a list of people who bought the Fast Profits Formula. And what that means is that if I ever update that product, I can send them an email about it. If anything ever went wrong, for example, if the membership site went down for a couple of days, I could email that list of people and say, hey, don't worry, the members area will be back up and running within the next 48 hours. Don't just hang on there, we'll get it fixed. So that in itself, that kind of proactive attitude, I suppose, prevents lots of support tickets flying in asking what's happened, because I can just email that segment of the list and let them know without bothering everyone that didn't buy the product. So I have, at the same time, I have another product called Product Creation Masterclass, and I've got a list of people who just bought that product. And again, it allows me also to target my marketing a lot more specifically. So, for example, the product which is, again, I've got a product about product creation, and if somebody was to buy that, I know that they are specifically interested in product creation. So if somebody I know launches a new product about product creation, which I think would be of value to those people, I can send them an email specifically to that section, that segment of the list, which means the responses will be much higher because they have already kind of pre-qualified themselves as being interested in product creation. So I have different lists for different topics of free gift that I give away, but also for the different topics of product that I sell. So everyone who buys my products will end up on a list somewhere. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I also have separate lists for separate niche businesses. One of the things that you touched on in your introduction was that I've built a business which spans across 4 different niche markets. So I have one in the, for people who don't know, my background is in hypnosis, psychotherapy, and NLP. So I have I co-own an internet marketing company selling training products about hypnosis and NLP. So we have a separate Aweber account. Aweber is the autoresponder I use for my lists. I have a separate Aweber account, and inside that account, I've done exactly the same thing. There are lots of different topics within that field of hypnosis and NLP, so we have different free gifts and different products, and we have a list for each of those inside that Aweber account. But because the businesses are under different brand names, we actually use different names as the face of the business. So we are, I have my business partner is the name and the face of that particular business. We have a separate Aweber account so that, we're not accidentally going to send hypnosis-related offers to our internet marketing list and vice versa. Now, I've also built a list and a business in the dating and the seduction and the pickup kind of niche. So I also have, again, lots of lists, lots of products in that area, and then another one in the self-development area too. And I'm about to build another business in the dog training niche. So I have several different lists within several different niches. So the way I look at it is, whatever niche you go into, or whatever multiple different marketplaces you go into, have a separate autoresponder account for each one. That way you can't accidentally send completely irrelevant emails to the wrong list. The worst case scenario, if you do it my way, is that you might send an email about product creation to a list who are interested in affiliate marketing, but at least it's still the same general topic. It's still an internet marketing list. So I have a separate Aweber account for each of my niche businesses, and then within those Aweber accounts or autoresponder accounts, I then have multiple different lists which are used to segment the interests and the purchases or the requests, I guess, of my entire overall list. Now, obviously, that means that some people will be on multiple lists. So somebody might opt in for my affiliate marketing list and then later on also opt in for my traffic list. That's no problem. Generally, I do just send broadcasts to the entire list. So I'd write an email promoting a product, I'd select all of the lists and send it in one go. That's how I would typically do it. But if I ever did need to specifically target or segment the list, then I can do it almost by interest, as far as my free gifts and products are concerned.
Well, that's a very complete answer, Mark. Thanks very much. So that actually sounded quite complicated. I'm guessing that when people just get started, they don't really need to have it set up as complicated as that, right?
No.
Clearly they'd need a separate list across different niches. Like, you don't want to be sending dog training stuff to your internet marketing people and stuff like that. But, maybe 1 or 2 lists they could get away with something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Inside, when you first start out, everybody starts somewhere. You start off with one free gift from one squeeze page on one topic. So if you open an Aweber account or an autoresponder account, which is what will manage all of that, then obviously you would set up that autoresponder account for that niche, that marketplace. So, for example, the internet marketing niche. And then what you would do is, of course, within that, you would probably only have one free gift to start with. So when you make that free gift, you put it up on a squeeze page. That might be about affiliate marketing, for example. You would then create a list inside your Aweber account for that particular free gift. And then if in a year's time or 6 months' time you make another free gift, you just set up another list. So it's really not too complicated. You just build it slowly and over time. As they say, Rome wasn't built in a day, and our empires will be built over a period of time as well online.
Sure. That's excellent, because I think it needs to be simple for people at first, because they've got that much else going on when they just get started that really they want to try and keep everything as simple as possible.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let me quickly move on with this next question. Now, this is going to be of interest to people listening, I know for a fact. When you first got started, meaning that the successful part, not the first 3 years or so when you weren't making the headway that you then went on to make, but when you became successful, what list building techniques did you use at first, and what sort of success did you see?
Okay, so I kind of briefly touched on this earlier, but I didn't say too much because I thought we might cover it now. The first thing that I ever did was I set up my free gift, Marketing Meltdown, and then I set up the funnel, got it all up and running, got it all integrated. I tested it. Please do test this, because I've seen a lot of people nowadays who put up their stuff and they don't bother to test it. So I put my email address in, and basically I pretended I was just signing up for my own list just to make sure that they saw everything they should in the right order. So I went and did that. Everything worked just fine. And the first set of traffic that I got to my list, I bought something called a solo ad. Now, if you don't know what a solo ad is, basically what it means is that somebody has built a big responsive list of people within your marketplace or within your niche, and you can pay them to send you some traffic. So, for example, I might want to buy 100 visitors to my website. Now that means that if my squeeze page converted at 40%, then that means that 40 people would join my list. Okay, so 100 unique people would land on my squeeze page. A percentage of them would put their email address in and join my list. So of those 100 people, if it was 40%, obviously 40 people would join. Now, obviously, you can buy solo ads of different sizes. Really at the time, the biggest solo ad you could buy, or I saw anyone selling, was about 1,000, what we call clicks. In other words, this is 1,000 people uniquely clicking on your link. But really, it's easier to refer to it as 1,000 visitors. But, the term we use is clicks. So what happened was, I bought a solo ad, or I bought a few solo ads from people I found in various groups on the Warrior Forum, the Internet Marketing Forum, and I found some connections on Skype and places like that. So what I did was I bought some solo ads, and I think I probably spent my $300 or $400 on getting some solo ads, and that kind of put the first probably 300 to 500 people on my list. So this gave me some starting room. So that worked very, very well. I mean, the good thing is you can monitor how closely that's working. You buy a solo ad now, you know how many clicks you're getting, you know how many opt in, you can see how well and effective that is. And it worked pretty well for me. Now, what I did then, and now it's even easier as there are more and more solo ad providers out and about. If you want to buy solo ads, the first thing I'd recommend you do is go and look onto on the Warrior Forum. If you search solo ad on the Warrior Forum, you'll find lots and lots of people offering solo ads. Now, once I had my first 300 to 500 subscribers, that gave me some leverage, because I didn't just have to swap money for subscribers or traffic. I could now use my subscribers to get more subscribers. So the next thing I did was I began doing ad swaps. And an ad swap is a little bit like a solo ad. It's just instead of money, you send traffic instead. So with a solo ad, you give the person money and they send you traffic. And normally you would do that with a marketer who is much bigger than yourself. They've got a much bigger list than you. Whereas with an ad swap, you would do this with someone who's in a similar position to you. So once I had my first 500 subscribers, I would then find somebody else who had about 500 subscribers, and I'd say, listen, I'll send an email to my list to tell them about your free gift, and you can tell your subscribers about my free gift, and then obviously some of them will opt into each. So the idea would be I would email my list of 500 people about, Bob's free gift. Bob would email his list of people about my free gift. And then obviously a percentage of his traffic will opt into my list, and a percentage of my traffic will opt into his. We're not swapping subscribers. In other words, I'm not just giving him a load of my subscribers. We are giving our subscribers the option to subscribe to the other person's list. I really hope that makes sense. So
look, absolutely.
I did. So I bought solo ads to get my first ever kind of surge of subscribers, and then I did some ad swaps. And what I did was I began ad swapping every other day, and eventually I began ad swapping every day to build that list up faster and faster and faster and faster. And again, these were people that I found. Some of them were students of the coaching program I was in, so we had like a members forum. So obviously that's no use to people listening to this call. But most of them came from places like the Warrior Forum. Now there are communities such as Safe Swaps, that's safe-swaps.com, safe-swaps.com, places like that where you can find ad swaps. But the best place to really start looking for both solo ads and ad swaps would be the Warrior Forum. You'll find lots of people who will be very helpful. And if you do an ad swap with someone and say, where else can I find ad swap partners? Most people will say, oh, well, here's where I've been looking and found people there. So that's quite a good way to kind of work with people, to build not only that, but build relationships with people who are in a similar position to yourself, and one day could be, that you and them, you could be the next Mike Filsaime and Frank Kern of this industry. You could be the next big gurus of this industry, building your kind of JV. Most of the big gurus of our world have been friends since before any of them were successful. If you look at the big 7- and 8-figure gurus, a lot of them met at internet marketing seminars and workshops when long before they were making money, and they were just like, newbies starting out. So you never know who you are going to meet and JV with in these early days. So if you do ad swaps with somebody now who you've never heard of and they've never heard of you, you never know. 5 years down the line, you might both be million-dollar marketers. In fact, I mean, although I'm not a Frank Kern or a Mike Filsaime of this industry, I've been pretty successful online over the last few years, and the people I'm really good friends with now, many of them I met years ago before I was successful, through these kind of channels, and we're still friends today. And now I've made lots of money, they've made lots of money, and if I release a new product or they release a new product, we support each other. So doing these ad swaps not only allows you to get traffic and build your list, but it also helps you to, build a big community. And, there's a lot of friendship around in this industry if you begin building these relationships with people. So I think, ad swapping is a really good way to go. So those were the first list building techniques that I used in order to begin building my list. And I actually used those techniques alone. Once I'd done that and started ad swapping, I actually managed to build my first ever list of 12,000 subscribers over the period of about 14 months. So to me, in terms of list building, that was quite successful. There was a downside to that, which I'll talk to you about shortly. But I built that list of 12,000 people. It was pretty successful for me, and didn't, apart from the initial solo ads, didn't really cost very much either.
Wow. Okay. So the question there was, which list building techniques did you use first? So we said there's solo ads and ad swaps,
Yep.
which you've explained exceedingly well there, of course. But you also stressed that relationship building again played a large part in that exercise, that whole exercise, because the people that you meet at the start are going to be the people that you want to keep helping you and you helping them as you move through your careers together. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things. It's very hard when people start out, it's very hard for them to grab the attention of the big name marketers. I get dozens of emails every month saying, can you promote my product? Can you do this? Can you help me with this? And the truth is, I can't work with all of those people. I can't promote all of those people's products. So it's very, very difficult for you when you're starting out to go and grab the attention of somebody who's quite high up and you want them to promote your product. But if you're kind of building businesses at the same rate as other people, then you're in the same position as them, and they're much more likely to be kind of contactable. You're much more likely to be able to get in touch with them. So again, if you can build up those relationships as you build your business together and really help each other, it's a good thing to know is there is no real competition in this industry. We sell information products and we promote information products. And the truth is that we have this, as human beings, we have this never-ending thirst for knowledge and information and power. So the truth is that, although I have coaching programs and I know that my friends have coaching programs, there are lots of people who are in both of our coaching programs. So there really is no competition in this industry at all. So, if you build friendships with these people and really just be honest and upfront and ethical with them in every way, you will build lifelong friendships and partnerships that will become not only very profitable, but also very enjoyable for you. And as I said, that all starts out in the early days by finding people who are on a similar plane to you, a similar level to you, and start, doing things like ad swaps and that kind of thing.
Cool. Look, some excellent points made there, Mark. So we've kind of covered the next question. We're making a habit of that, aren't we? So what I'd like to ask now is, what list building method, if you could single one out, what list building method has worked best for you, either paid or unpaid? In fact, you might like to explain those two phrases as well, paid or unpaid, in this answer.
Okay. So basically, there are two different types of traffic online. And effectively, once you've got your list building process set up, so once you've got a free gift and once you've got a squeeze page and once you've got everything up and automated and running, the only thing that really comes down to how fast your list will grow is the traffic you can get to your website. So really, there are therefore two different types of traffic methods that you can use to build your list or get traffic to any website. One is paid and one is unpaid. So the way it works is, with paid traffic, you are paying for your traffic. Now, there are two ways you can pay for traffic. You can either pay for traffic where you pay for all of the traffic that lands on your website, or you can pay per subscriber opting into your page. So, for example, if you were to go to Google or Facebook, you could pay them what they call pay per click. So what they do is they put an advert on their website, and you will pay a small amount of money, maybe up to $1 or $1.50, for each person who clicks on your link. Now, this is a very expensive way to build traffic until you have a finely tuned and highly optimized website. But it's something that we're doing now in our business. So it's not something I'd recommend in the early days, but I'm just trying to define the two. So you would pay every time someone clicks on your website. Now, obviously, that means it then comes down to your website to be, high converting, to make sure that you get enough people opting into your list or buying your products to pay for the advertising that you put out. Or alternatively, you could buy a solo ad. And again, that's paid traffic, where you are paying somebody to deliver traffic, and it really relies, your website is then key in making sure that that website converts, and therefore that money is well spent. Or you can use unpaid traffic methods where you don't pay for the traffic, so you do some other sort of work. For example, an ad swap. There's no money changing hands. You're just exchanging something for somebody else. The other thing you could do is something called a JV giveaway event, where it's really like a giant ad swap. 500 or 1,000 marketers or more all come together. They all put one of their free gifts into the JV giveaway event, and then what happens is that they end up all driving traffic into that, and then all of their traffic can look at all the free gifts and subscribe to whatever they want. So it's like a giant ad swap. So, you can also do that, which is also free. So there are really, the paid methods are things that you pay for, free methods are things that you don't pay for. Now, the other way that you can do paid list building specifically is something called a pay per lead program or a pay per subscriber program. Again, this is really just for completeness. It's not something I'd recommend when you're first starting out, because really you need a highly optimized funnel and high converting funnel to do it with, although it is something, again, that we're about to do in our business. With a solo ad, you pay for every click that you get. So, for example, you might pay 50 cents for everyone who clicks on your link and ends up on your page. Now, obviously, then it's down to your funnel to either convert them into a subscriber and potentially further down the line a customer. Now, with a pay-per-click a pay-per-lead or a pay-per-subscriber program, instead of paying for each click that you get, you only pay when somebody opts in. Now, this sounds more attractive initially because you think, wow, I can pay $1 every time someone puts their email address in, but that way I'm paying specifically for someone joining my list. Now, the problem there is that you've got to put lots of things in place to make sure that people aren't sending you junk traffic. You've got to put lots of things in place to make sure that the people who are joining your list are actually interested in what you've got to offer. So once you have a funnel and a kind of a reputation and stuff in place to actually ensure all of those things, you can also do this kind of pay-per-lead training. So hopefully you can therefore understand the difference between paid traffic and unpaid traffic. You often hear the thing saying time is money, and that really applies to traffic. With traffic driving, if you want to get traffic for free, then you have to be willing to invest lots of time usually. But if you're willing to pay for it, then it can save you lots of time. So that's the key difference between whether you use paid traffic or unpaid traffic methods, is whether you're a high-flying company exec with a six-figure salary who wants to get out, but you're working 40 hours every day or whatever. Then that's not going to work. I realise that doesn't work, but never mind. If you don't have any time, maybe you work 12 hours a day, then you get home, you've got a wife and a family and all the rest of it, you have no time, but you can afford to outsource it, then you need to do that. But at the same time, if you are if you only work a few hours a day and you don't have a lot of money, then you've probably got lots more time to invest in your traffic as well. So time really is money when it comes down to traffic methods. That's the definitions. In terms of which of those methods have worked best for me, the best paid traffic method to this day has still been using solo ads. The best unpaid traffic method to this day has still been the ad swaps that I started doing back in 2009. They've really I don't do them as much now, but back in 2009 they kind of really worked out well for me and did up until last year.
Okay, look, Mark, that's a fantastic answer. Thanks very much. So you've explained there that with the solo ads, obviously you need to be prepared to pay for those. And if you already have managed to build a bit of a list, then you can go down the ad swap line. Now, moving quickly on to the next question rather, we've said there, which technique do you recommend newcomers use to build a list in the fastest possible way? And I guess this means we're assuming that they don't currently have any sort of list to talk of.
Yeah, okay. So if you're just starting out, you need to get some traffic. The first thing I would recommend doing is find some money from somewhere and buy some solo ads. The first thing I always tell my students to do is buy some solo ads to get your first 500 or 1,000 subscribers, because then that gives you all the leverage in the world. Usually, it takes about $1,000 investment to get 1,000 subscribers. Usually that's how it works out. Let's imagine, say, you build a squeeze page that converts at 50%. That means that 50% of people who land on your website will join your list. And usually you will pay around about 50 cents per click to your website. So obviously what that means is that if you're paying 50 cents per click, and let's say you were to buy 1,000 subscribers, that's going to cost you $500. And if you get 50% of those people to opt into your list, that's 50% of the 1,000 people you buy. That means you will build a list of 500 subscribers. Does that make sense? So you pay $500 to get 1,000 visitors to your page. 50% of those 1,000 visitors opt in. That means you've spent $500 and you've gained 500 subscribers. So with a 50% opt-in rate and paying 50 cents per click, if you invest $1,000, you will get 1,000 subscribers, and that's usually what I recommend doing. And that's kind of a good initial investment to start building a list, and you will make that back within your first couple of months. So it's definitely worth doing.
Okay, I'm sure we all understand the facts and figures as you've outlined them there, Mark, but I just have a quick question about that. You've assumed that we have a 50% conversion rate on our squeeze page. Can I just ask, typically, in your opinion, what sort of conversion rate could a newcomer to this market, and I suppose they might be either designing their own squeeze page from something that they may have found free online or something like that, or they may use that free squeeze page download facility that you mentioned earlier on. But typically, like one way or another, however they get their squeeze page, what sort of conversion rate might they realistically expect? For example, is 50% realistic for them, or is it going to be much lower or possibly even higher?
I think the average rate that I see from my students who build their own squeeze pages typically seems to be around about the 35 to 40% mark. Although with a little bit of work, you can then get that up to 50% very quickly. If you know the important elements of a high converting squeeze page, you can in fact aim for 45 to 50% conversion very quickly. A lot of people, when they start building squeeze pages, they start having graphics on them and sales copy and lots of stuff. And the truth is that the best converting squeeze pages are the ones that are the plainest and the simplest. So my best converting squeeze page is just a plain white page with a headline at the top and then an opt-in box. Nothing else. No covers, no graphics, no flashing arrows, no neon signs, no big images. My best converting squeeze page to this day is still just a plain white page with a smallish headline and instructions. So one line that says put your email address in below to get the free report. So that it says free report reveals XYZ, then a quick instruction saying put your name and email address in below to download it, and then an opt-in box, and that converts at about, on average, 50%. Now it will obviously vary. If somebody sent me some junk traffic, then obviously it wouldn't convert so well, in which case you have to then take that up with that solo ad vendor. But typically, if you keep it simple, if you keep it sweet, if you make sure that the headline is compelling, and really it's just a case of, trial and error. Don't just go out and spend $1,000 with one vendor buying, however many clicks. Go out there and spend $100. Get your first load of traffic in, monitor how well it converts, and then try and if you only get a 35% conversion, try something different. And then if you still don't get on very well, try something different again. So if you buy them in smaller 100 or 200 click chunks, then you will be able to improve your conversion rate as you go.
Cool. So we're buying small chunks and we're split testing along the way till we fine tune it properly and get the best conversion, right?
Yeah. And if you're confused by the term split testing, obviously split testing is normally where you'd have multiple different versions of a page and a percentage of traffic sees each one until you get the best option. What you can do at this stage is to do split testing the simple way, where there's no complicated software or programming involved. You literally just have one page, buy some traffic to it. If you get a 50% conversion rate, I probably wouldn't bother doing much with it, because that's kind of about, you're not going to get it much higher than that. There are very few people who can get a squeeze page higher than 50 or 55%. So if that happens, great. If it doesn't happen, if you get, say, 40% or 30% or even 25%, don't be too disheartened. Just try something different, make the page simpler, move the opt-in box up. It's important to make sure the opt-in box is, where they put their email address in, is on screen from the moment the page loads. So don't have it pushed right the way down so they have to scroll for ages to get to it. So just try a few simple tweaks and then upload it again. So it's the easiest way to split test it possible. You are just trying it, running some traffic to it, then changing it, running some more traffic to it, then changing it.
Gotcha, Mark. Yeah, totally understand all that. And just in case anybody's interested, they may have heard an expression above the fold. And what Mark described there is exactly that. The thing's on screen the minute the page loads. And if it does that, then it's said to be above the fold. Is that right, Mark?
Absolutely.
Cool. Quickly then, knowing what you know now, with all the things and the means and methods that you've tried, if you wanted to build a list fast right now, how would you go about it?
Starting from scratch.
Yes.
I would probably, for speed, I would probably take a leaf out of your book. I would probably find an expert marketer who has an expertise about something or other. I would interview them. I would then get the interview transcribed. I would take that transcription, have it formatted, and put a fancy name on it to turn it into a report or a product. In fact, it's possible that the end result, you could even make it not even look like an interview. You could strip out all the questions. You could literally make each answer a separate chapter rather than being an answer. Strip out all the ums and ahs that I'm sure you'll find in the transcript of this that I've given you. There's another one. Strip out all the ums and the ahs. Make it more of a fluent read. Get somebody to proofread it, go through and make sure it reads like a book rather than like somebody talking, and there's a free report. You don't have to do that. You could just leave it as an interview with marketer X. Then you would go ahead and put it on a squeeze page, again buy some solo ads, and then start ad swapping as soon as you've got your first kind of 1,000-ish subscribers. That's like the sweet spot for me, to start ad swapping and doing JV giveaways and all those other kind of things.
That's excellent, Mark. Thanks very much. I'm sure there's some excellent points being made there. And what we asked there was, how would you build a list fast? Well, if that wasn't a great answer, I don't know what was, because he showed you exactly how to do it in the fastest possible time. Thanks very much, Mark. Moving quickly on, are there some list building methods that maybe worked a few years ago, but don't work so well today?
I think all of the list building methods that worked a few years ago do still work today, but probably not quite to the same extent. So solo ads and ad swaps, they still work brilliantly, but you have to be careful with how you use them. So this is what I mentioned briefly earlier. When I first got started, I built a list of about 12,000 people. I say when I first got started, this was when I first started kind of success, if you like. I built a list of about 12,000 people over the period of about a year, and I built it by ad swapping, in the end, about twice a day. So every single day at 6 a.m. EST in the morning and 6 p.m. EST at night, I was emailing my list, doing an ad swap. And what that meant was my list was growing very, very fast, because I had new subscribers coming in every morning and every evening. The problem is that I was constantly emailing the list twice a day. So if you think about how many times that is over the course of a year, we're talking 600 times a year. And it means that they are getting bombarded with emails from me. And if everybody does that, then they're getting bombarded with emails from everybody. And eventually they start to become less responsive. And not only do they become less responsive, but to them, they don't know what an ad swap is. They don't know the reason why you're sending them this free gift. They think you're sending them this free gift to be nice and to do a nice thing, which you are, but at the same time, you're also doing it because it's a way of building your list. So all they see is that twice a day I was sending them a free gift, because I made the decision that I was going to wait until my list hit 10,000 or 12,000 subscribers before I started trying to sell anything. I thought if I do that, then I'll have a big list, it'll be really responsive, and it'll work great. So what happened was, obviously over that year, a lot of the subscribers unsubscribed anyway. That naturally happens, natural wastage. People will click the unsubscribe rate as you're emailing them. But provided you have, in my opinion, I just thought that provided more people come in the top than fall out the bottom, that will be fine. So ad swapping twice a day brought more people in than fell out the bottom. That was great. Everything went well. Until I got to that point where I hit 12,000 people, and I thought, brilliant, now this is time to start email marketing. So I found a product that was selling on the internet. It was like $37 or $47. I got an affiliate link. I wrote an email, took 10, 15, 20 minutes, sent the email to my list, sat back, put my feet up, and waited for the ClickBank notifications to come rolling in, which didn't happen. So I thought, okay, fine, okay, maybe it's the product. I picked a different product, a $97 product, gave that a shot. Nothing happened. Didn't sell a single copy. So I thought, well, something's not working. And this is after a year of building a list, by the way. So I thought, fine, okay, let's try a $10 product. Maybe it's too expensive. So I did a $10 product. Nothing, not a sausage. Then John Thornhill, a friend of mine, an internet marketer from the UK, launched a coaching program that I think was $1,000 or $1,500. And I thought, okay, let's take a different attitude. Let's try promoting something really expensive. And then even if I sell one, then it'll kind of balance out. So I mailed that, and I think I did sell one copy. But the only reason I found this out afterwards, the guy who bought it already had John's coaching program. The reason he bought it was I put together an enormous bonus package of stuff. That included coaching with me, it included a sales letter written by me, it included graphics. I piled everything into this just to try and sell one. So then it was a bit of a kick in the teeth when the guy emailed me back and said, I already had John's coaching, but your bonus package was worth more than the $1,500 that I had to spend to get the thing. So I did that anyway. So he wasn't buying it specifically because I promoted something. He was buying it to get all the stuff that I'd offered, and I still only sold one. So this confused me. I thought about it. I sat back for a while, and what I realised had happened was I had kind of brainwashed that list into expecting to get free stuff from me. Every time they saw Mark Milburn in their inbox, they thought, oh my God, what a nice guy sending me some more free stuff. And because I spent an entire year doing it, I got to the end, and this is the only way I can think about it, is I got to the end of that, and that list, when I sent them stuff that, when I sent them paid promotions, they still opened the email and they still clicked on the link. I was getting lots of people opening the emails and lots of people clicking on the links, which is kind of one of the keys. But at the same time, they weren't buying anything. And I realised what must happen was they would get the email, they'd open it, they'd click on the link and freak out. They go, what? Mark doesn't sell us things. Mark gives us lots of free things. Why is he selling us stuff? And I also noticed that not only did they not buy anything, but when I started promoting paid products, was my unsubscribe rates increased. So more and more people would just go, well, screw this. If he's going to start selling me stuff, I'm going to unsubscribe. The thing is, I've seen this happen to other people since. So in answer to your question, ad swaps and solo ads worked a few years ago. They still work today, provided you use them selectively. So what do I mean by that? Well, it means that I would ad swap maybe twice a week maximum. There's no problem with emailing your list every day, but I would make sure that the majority of the emails you send are paid promotions for affiliate products or your own products, and just send them free gifts maybe once a week or twice a week to ad swap. Now, it does mean your list will grow slower, yes, but it also means that your list will, in the long run, be more responsive. It means that you will get more results from your list. The moment they join your list, you want to start promoting affiliate products to them so they know that this is a commercial thing. They're not on your list because you're a nice guy. Well, they are, but they're also on your list because you're going to sell them things. And I think that's really important. And as I said, it's getting worse now. I've watched people doing it now. And again, just because they're ad swapping 4 or 5 times a week, that's making their list get this brainwashed thing into thinking this is only going to be free stuff. So please bear that in mind. Don't ad swap 2 or 3 times a day just because you're watching the numbers go up and up and up and up and up in Aweber. That's pointless. I ended up having to just delete that list and starting over. And when I started over again and did it properly, where I only ad swap once or twice a week, now I've built a list which is, ultimately very, very responsive. So in answer to the question, I don't really think there are any list building methods that worked a few years ago and don't work now, but it is getting slightly more difficult to monetize those that list if you use those methods too much.
So we need to be selective. We need to train them to be responsive, because otherwise they're just going to sort of get used to be forever taking freebies. And every time they get something that they're expected to pay for, they just kind of don't click through or even unsubscribe, you've said there.
Yeah, definitely. One other thing I will touch on to answer that question from another angle. Again, the question you asked was, are there some methods of list building that worked a couple of years ago and don't really work now? The other thing is that in general, the whole concept of list building has become harder to monetize over the last few years. If I'm being blatantly honest, it is harder now to make a free gift, put it on a squeeze page, start driving traffic, building a list, and then email marketing to that list. What do I mean by that? Well, a few years ago, people said that if you build a list, you should be able to make $1 per subscriber per month. In other words, if you have 1,000 people on your list, if you email market to them, you should be able to make $1,000 a month. At the same time, if you have 10,000 people on your list and you email market to them, you should be able to make $10,000 a month. Now, when I got started, that was probably true. But over the last few years, it has gone down, and I would say that most people now probably struggle to make 30 or 50 cents per subscriber per month. In other words, your list does have to be bigger in order to make the same amount of money from it. So one of the things that I think everyone should consider is to not only yes, it's still worthwhile building a list of subscribers. It completely is, provided you do it, using the methods and the strategies I've outlined. But the problem is that there are now so many people building lists and giving away junk products, just rubbish PLR rehashed stuff some of it's not even rehashed, it's just raw PLR products they're just giving away without any attempt to build a relationship with the list. It means that these subscribers are now on so many different lists, there's just so much more vying for their attention to get them to open and click through emails. So one of the things that I really recommend is make a cheap, good product, something that is going to be $5, $7, $10 or $20, put it up on a good sales page and start driving traffic to that. And then once people buy your product, ask them to opt in to get it. So as soon as people buy the product, you would say, thank you very much. Please join this list to get updates on the product or to find out more when I release new versions of the product, that kind of thing. And then what happens is you will then build a list of customers. Now, if you have a list of 1,000 customers, you will make more money than if you have a list of 10,000 freebie seekers. So whilst it is still very worthwhile building a list of subscribers, or what I would call freebie seekers, because there will be some customers on that list, it would also be worthwhile making yourself a good paid product. Maybe you could have it as an upsell or a one-time offer from your free gift in order to not only build your list, but also sift out the people who are willing to spend money. That way, you will make more money per subscriber per month from your customers than you would from the freebie seekers. So that's something to bear in mind now. It's a better idea or a good idea to also put out a cheap front-end product and get some traffic to that to build a list of customers.
Well, Mark, you've given us some incredible strategies and ideas to consider there. If I might just ask finally, what general advice would you give to someone wanting to get started in internet marketing today? Anything you might want to point out to them?
Yes, definitely. There's basically a very, very simple process that I share with all of my coaching and mentoring students to go ahead and begin building a profitable business online. The key thing is, and this is all there is to it, obviously I don't have time to go into each of these individually, but if you go away and research, you'll be able to learn everything you need. The first thing is to choose a profitable niche on the internet. So you choose a profitable niche online, whether it's internet marketing, dog training, dating, flower arranging, gardening, vegetarian cooking, whatever. Choose a profitable kind of niche or a profitable industry. Once you've done that, you want to build a blog. So obviously I know that you've got zerotoheromarketing.com is your blog where you post regular content and great information. So you would go ahead and you would post on your blog once a week or twice a week or once every 2 weeks consistently with good, valuable advice and information. So that's the second thing. Set up your blog, build a brand. So obviously if you're listening to this call, you'll probably know that Paul's brand is Zero to Hero Marketing. So again, set up that brand. My brand is just branded around me. It's just markmilburn.com in this particular industry. But in other niche businesses we've got, it's branded around a topic like Zero to Hero Marketing is. So we would do that. Third, you would start making products and building a list. Once you've started making your products, building a list, you then need to learn about traffic so that you can get traffic to your blog, to your list building funnels, and also to your paid products. Start recruiting affiliates, and that in itself is the basic hub of what I call any business. You have a blog, you have an email list, that's kind of floating around as the central hub of your business. Then you have lots of different products that you can make one by one. Obviously, everything grows one step at a time. So you start with one product, then you make another product, and then you make another product. So those products would be floating around the outside of your kind of central hub, which is your blog and your list. And then you would learn to drive traffic into that kind of little bubble from the outside. So all of your traffic would be landing on your blog, on your list, on your products, and ultimately joining your programs. And then you can start email marketing to your list of customers and subscribers. And basically, if you can follow that little process in that order, choose a niche, create a brand, build a blog, start blogging, start building a list, start making your first products, then that is basically the whole basis of what I've used to build a business which over a 3-year period has made $1.2 million online. And now we've built that business and we've duplicated it in different niches. And now in this year, we're looking at doing $100,000 every single month Next year, we want to grow that to $250,000 a month. And, one day in 10 years' time, we might be able to hit $1 million a month. Who knows? But I'm not doing anything complicated. I'm not doing anything unique. I'm certainly not the most talented marketer in the world. I'm certainly not the most creative thinker in the world. All I'm doing is taking a simple, proven system that works and duplicating it over and over again in different areas, and then going deep into each one. And that's the simple blueprint that I've used to get to where I am today. Now, if you don't want to build $1 million a month business, fine, it doesn't matter. Even if you just want to make an extra $100,000 a year, just means you'll get to your goal much quicker. But still, follow the simple plan: a blog, a list, some products, and some traffic.
Well, I guess people tend to overcomplicate things, hey, Mark, when really keeping it simple is the key.
Definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Wow. Well, you've given our listeners there some fantastic ideas, plenty of ideas, and lots of things for them to consider. And I'm sure that they're just going to be literally bowled over with the content that we've just shared with them, Mark. Now, look, just before we wrap this up, I just want to say a huge thank you for being with us today and sharing all these fantastic ideas and fabulous information. Now, it's quite clear that your reputation is extremely well deserved. And if listeners want to check out your stuff, is there a particular website where they can go and see what you get up to?
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. One of the things I always recommend people do, at this point, if you want to find out more about me and what I've done, the best thing you can do is to head over to my blog. I've just spent ages telling you how important the blog is. And really, I'm going to be, particularly this year, we're going to turn our blog into a big deal. So I'd recommend that you check out my blog. It's over at markmilburn.com. The only thing to remember is that Mark has a C on the end, not a K. So if you go to Mark Milburn with a C, markmilburn.com, then you will find that. And, we're posting information on there. You can get some free training on there, find out about my products and programs there, and just come and join part of the Mark Milburn community. One thing I will say, apart from checking out my blog, is that what I'd love to do, if it's all right with Paul, is
Sure.
I have a product which I created called Inbox Magic, and basically once you've built a list, you then need to learn how to send emails to that list, which will get them to open their emails and click on the links. Now, I actually sell this on the website, but what I'd love to do is I'll give a copy of that ebook to Paul, and he can put it somewhere along with the recording of this MP3 as a special kind of bonus from me, if you like. You can just go ahead and download that and check it out. You don't need to opt in or anything, just download the PDF, and hopefully once you've followed through this training and listened to the other experts that I know Paul will be introducing you to, then you can learn how to build a list, and then you can use my Inbox Magic report to go ahead and actually learn how to send profitable emails to that list as well. So I'll give that to Paul, and he can include it as a download with this MP3, and then we will also you can also check out my blog at markmilburn.com.
Okay, well, a master marketer right till the end, Mark, as expected. All right. Well, that's the end of the interview, folks. And just once again, thank you, Mark. And we'll make sure that all those things get seen to, and the Inbox Magic will be included in this product. Thanks very much again, Mark. Cheerio for now. Hey, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching that interview with Mark. This report has been an extract from my product, List Building Relaunched. And everything that you've heard is totally true, and the techniques used are simple and easy to copy. You can easily do the things that we shared here to build a solid responsive list that can explode your income. And it's exactly the things that we shared in this and the other interviews in this series that transformed my online efforts beyond recognition. These techniques catapulted my success in leaps and bounds and got me out of the slow lane and into the fast lane with the other achievers in this business, and they can do the same for you too. In List Building Relaunched, I revealed the exact details of how 3 more internet marketing superstars from around the world found their way to multi-million-dollar success. For example, we have the UK's #1 marketer, John Thornhill, spills the beans on the exact techniques he used to climb to the top of the internet marketing ladder, earning multiple millions of dollars along the way. You'll see how Jason Benoit from the good old US of A got to fill his bottom drawer with over $1 million in super quick time. And you get the insider secrets of how this flat broke kid from Israel beat the odds and struck gold when he discovered how to make it big online. And of course, you get the recording of this interview with Mark Milburn, the red-haired kid who took his last $250 and became a seven-figure sensational marketer. In case you want more, you're also going to get PDF transcripts of the entire collection to use separately or together as you listen to the recordings. And I haven't forgotten Mark's promise of his fabulous free gift, Inbox Magic, which is going to help you with your email marketing. That's also included as part of this package. Now don't forget, all these guys are individual multi-million-dollar achievers, so what they don't know isn't worth knowing. For your chance to follow in their footsteps and get yourself on the same path to success as them right now, just click the big yellow Let Me In button below this screen. It's just $9.97, barely more than the price of a coffee, and for that one low price, you're going to be amazed at the secrets these guys share and the sometimes simple things that you can do right now that could explode your business and your income. Just click the big yellow Let Me In button below this screen to grab your copy now while it's still on offer at such a crazy low price. Okay guys, that's it. This is Paul Henderson from Zero to Hero Marketing saying a great big thank you for sharing this interview with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and even more, I hope you got heaps of information to take away and get your business on track. Thanks again guys, bye for now and bon voyage.